Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Michael Austin and I are here for week 4 of Australian Survivor Brains vs. Brawn 2, and this continues the train wreck that we have been having this season. So, what did you guys think of this week?
What is going on?
I don't know.
This is such a weird season. Like, we have imbalanced edits to talk about. We're going into merge where, a Brain's going to win the season. There's no way. There's no Brawns left in the game that are remotely receiving an edit outside of Paulie, but even that's kind of not really. We have idols. Everyone has an idol. And even just take an idol if you want. Miles can just have someone's idol. It's just bizarre, really bizarre season of the show. And I am enjoying it, but it's just odd. It's very odd.
Yeah, for sure. Austin, what are your thoughts on this week?
Wait, hold on. There's one other Brawn. Let's not forget Kate. She just got her glow up episode.
Halfway through the season, yes.
Come on.
Maybe it's a slow build, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I totally agree with that yet. I just feel like there's been so many Brawns have just not been a part of the storyline. I almost feel like it's just been Brains that's been just in total chaos as pre-merge. I don't know. This week, I don't know if this is same for you guys. I didn't get to talk to you guys during the week too much, but I'm this week, I almost I was watching these at work and I didn't even care. I was like, no Elim, someone I like, booted. I'm just I don't know. Just so much uninterest for me this week that I'm just hoping the merge is kind of what saves this season for me a little bit.
Yeah, so my thoughts, now that you guys have given yours, that the imbalanced edits that Michael brought up, that's really hurting the season for me. This is insane. If we look back at Heroes versus Villains, yes, maybe the newbies didn't get as much of an edit as the returnees, specifically George, but at least I felt like I still knew something about some of the new players in that season. And then Titans versus Rebels, most of the cast got a lot, pretty equal edits. The bigger players like Ferris and Kirby got a little more, but overall, I feel like I knew who everybody was. This season, that's not the case. I feel like I know nothing about almost all of the Brawn tribe. And it's just I don't know, this just, I've been entertained by what's there, but I feel like this is just a mid-tier season for me.
I almost feel like they're showing me that AJ, a Logan, a Karen are gonna win or something. I just see them every episode and I just hear so much about their journeys and strategies. I almost am sitting here I don't know how they win this, but they almost are making me think one of them are gonna get to the end or some huge clash at the final fours and happen between two of them or something. I have no idea. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how this merge plays out, because if they just pull, for example, if AJ gets booted right before jury, I don't know when jury starts, but if they go to merge and then he gets booted first, I'm gonna be extremely confused. Same with Logan. I'm gonna be what?
Yeah, yeah. Typically, Australian Survivor starts the jury at 11. We're at 13 right now, so I'm assuming there'll be two pre-jury boots here. But
Yeah, surely it's got to be some of the just unedited people, but everyone seems against it. If AJ wins this season, it's a miracle. I can't see that happening.
Oh
Even if he
yeah.
gets to the end, nobody likes the guy. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, I'm really thinking I've still got a good rooting interest in
yeah,
Laura. But I did really enjoy this week. I'm not as down on it as you, Austin. I think in terms of like the tribals and the twists, like that wasn't great, and we had some mishaps and injuries. But I think there was some really good character stuff in the season in this week of episodes,
mhm,
specifically with our brain, you know, original brain people falling apart. There's the stuff between Zara and Laura was really fun.
mhm.
The implosion of AJ and everyone kind of rallying against him and his complete blow up. Like there is some fun stuff here, but this did feel like a bit of a filler week, and hopefully the merge is really good. That if the merge is really good, like this could still be a great season, but the pre-merge hasn't been top tier.
Right.
I
Agreed.
agree. I just feel like brains are up here and bronze are like, I mean, Polly's probably up
Yeah.
here, and then it's just
The other
edit
five.
wise, at
Yeah.
least for me, and like how much I know from these people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I like Kate. I want to like the other bronze, but like we're not getting anything from them. So it's like Kate and Polly are now like the ones with the most content out of those six brawn members. So
Yeah.
all right, let's get into the episodes. So, episode 10. So, we start off. AJ is talking to Noonan. AJ thinks he's on the top, tells Noonan they can target Logan. So, he does throw out Logan's name again, like he did earlier in the season.
No,
Um,
he's never done that. They're all lying. He
yeah.
didn't do this.
Oh, AJ. Yeah. And then on the Brains tribe, Miles keeps spilling the beans. What else is new? Anything else before we
We
get to
do
the reward challenge?
we get the great quote from AJ of my alliance members aren't that important to me. They're easily replaceable. So always good to work with someone like AJ.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on this portion. I mean, Miles, I still feel bad for him. I just feel bad for him this whole entire week again. I
Mhm.
mean, the dude just is left out to dry, I almost feel like over there. AJ's just being AJ.
Classic AJ. All right. The reward challenge is the classic of knocking the idols off. So except it's two idols this time. And one of them is on the statue, one of them's over there. So that was an interesting twist to it. So like, do you try to knock the other person's off, or as we saw, are you gonna hit the one on the outside off first and then go for which I think is like everybody's gonna hit the one on the outside first, but yeah, what were your guys' thoughts on this challenge?
I like that they add little things in to certain challenges. Like,
Mhm.
now you have two you have to knock off. Cool. Like, there's a little more strategy to it.
Right.
I tried to watch and think what I'd do. I would have probably just full bolted like a football player and tried to smack it off and then run right into the second one.
Mhm.
But who knows if that would have been successful? I probably would have tripped and broke my wrist along with this season. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I like the challenge. I always enjoy this one. There's like more of a mental, physical ability to it. So,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Australian Survivor like evolve their challenges quite a bit, and like so the classic of just the idol on the stick, and then in Titans versus Rebels they did the two idols, but they were both attached. They
Yeah.
were attached to both idols, and then this one again, it's like separated again, so it's like just another evolution of that. I really like this, and Kristen has a great round here where she just throws one idol and just barrels at Zara and just like knocks it straight down. So yeah, that was a nice little moment for Kristen. This was a good week for Kristen too. I feel like we can finally start talking about her a lot more.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, the strategy for this challenge, usually you throw the idol up in the air and you go to knock the other one's off, other person's off. So, I mean, that's kind of like the optimal strategy there. In terms of that one, obviously, you usually want to go. In this case, you want to go for the one on the outside first, generally. But
It's almost like Pokemon, these challenges. They're in their second stage of evolution for half of these.
well, and this challenge has been done for a while since US Survivor started doing it. I can't remember the season that this challenge first started in, but might have been like Philippines. I can't remember, but
I feel like it's like globally like such a staple Survivor challenge. Like it's in that like pre-merge era of the show. It's like it's a fun challenge that they always go to.
right.
I always enjoy this one. It's fun. It never bores me seeing the throw it in the air strategy. Everyone knows about it now, but it's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more thing on this challenge, we get a fun quote from Morgan and Karen where Karen's nervous about going up against Morgan, and she's like, "I run. Don't you play football? Like, does this look like a football to you?" And I just love like, "Oh God, I'm gonna have to go up against this woman."
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I was just gonna say I did this challenge a few times in my college survivors, and it was always fun to do this. And it's easy to set up because like in that you can just get like a water bottle instead of like an idol and just put it on like a ping pong paddle or something. So it's fun. Um, all right, so it's for the pub, and the Brains Tribe does win this challenge. Um, Anything of note for the reward?
Yeah, Jesse comes alive when there's beer and food involved. He's been so quiet, and as soon as he got a beer, he was like a whole different person. That was the start of kind of Jesse becoming a bit more of a character in this week.
A bit.
And yeah, this is also where we get the whole thing with Miles just completely given every bit of information away, like you said. And I just love the moment of Zara just like mouthing to shut up to him. It's like, but I totally get it from Miles' perspective. Like at the last tribal council, they voted for Miles. Miles was willing to, or at least considering playing his idol for like a Zara or Laura to keep them strong, and they all threw his name under the bus and went for him. So at this point, like he just wants to get the merge. I don't blame him for not having super loyalty to these people when he doesn't know if he can trust them.
Right, right. I get that. Um, all right, so the immunity challenge is the shooting the balls into the hoops. They have to set those up. And AJ and Ben both attempt to throw, so much so that JLP threatens to send them both to tribal council if they don't like try to win. So I found this funny. Eventually Ben does hit the last shot to win it for the Brains tribe. But what were your guys' thoughts on this challenge and both tribes attempting to throw?
Is it bad that this is like one of the more memorable ones for me? Like I think it's hilarious that this season has got to the point and I think it's evolved because of AJ that everyone's like or Ben and him are like, let's just throw it. We'll put ourselves in the top spot so that we can, dictate how this end happens. And they're just both like missing one shot and they're just looking at each other like, huh? Huh? What? You? Like it's kind of classic. I think it's funny as hell. And I'd be mad too if I was like Noonan who
Right.
literally almost snaps her ankle trying to help AJ win this challenge. Like I get why I'd be pissed. But yeah, this sticks in my head for some reason. It's funny how much these people are trying to throw these challenges to save like their people, but they're not realizing they're killing their connections on the other side. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, it was probably the worst attempt I've seen to throw a challenge, and there's been bad attempts in the past. But like the fact that AJ's like literally throwing the ball like all the way to the other side, it's like, dude, this is one of the worst attempts I've ever seen to throw.
They're doing it right at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just reminds me of like that China one where the chick's just throwing puzzle pieces
Oh
like
yeah, the
over her back.
PG, yes, pissing off James.
I'm just like, what is going on? You guys are doing it at the last shot, both of you. It's gonna be obvious.
Michael?
I've been on record like I don't care about the challenges, so I love seeing people throw challenges. And especially the online discourse of like it's ruining the sanctity of the game. People get being all like, "Oh, think of all the effort that went into these challenges." I don't give a shit. I care about the dynamics on the tribes. I don't care about the challenges. Um, so like if you have someone that you want to get out before merge, this is the time when challenge throws do start happening because you're going in the merge and you're looking at your numbers, and both tribes are in that same dynamic where it's like we have people here we don't particularly want to get the merge. We have couples we need to break up before merge, and it all just came to a head this week where they're hardly ever trying in the challenges. The next one's even worse, where it's about 5 minutes long. But I think it's totally part of the game and totally fair play. Like if you need to get into merge in the best position that you can, and if going to sometimes it's better to go to tribal council than it is to have the night off. You might as well, secure your merge. It kind of backfires because Brawns end up with so many injuries and it all kind of goes to hell from there. But the logic at this point of the game, I do see that. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess, would you guys throw the challenge yourselves? Because I mean, we've seen it backfire completely on people. I don't know that I would do it because of like the history of it, but I get the logic as well because we've also seen it a couple times be successful. I mean, I'm thinking back Survivor Africa, Ethan throws it to get rid of Silas at the swap. There's a couple other instances where it has worked, but then there's like the instances of like Zapatera throwing to get rid of Russell Hantz, and they lose everything because they did that. So, I mean, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Like, would you guys throw the challenge yourselves?
I feel like it's a high risk, high reward type move. It would be very circumstantial for me. For example, if I am like I would literally have to feel on my high horse to want to throw a challenge. I'm
Right.
very competitive as it is. So normally I'm gonna want to win at all costs just for my own safety and sanity. But I can appreciate if people are trying to convince me into throwing it. That's probably when I would think about it because I don't think I'd ever personally just throw it out there.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, but yeah, I see the strategy behind it. I just don't know if I would ever want to do it.
Right, right. Michael?
I wouldn't. I think there's a difference between throwing the challenge yourself and throwing as part of your alliance. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to throw a challenge, it has to be you and your alliance making a decision to lose this challenge and go into tribal council. Whereas like AJ in this example just decided to do it himself. He didn't tell anyone. Like if it was he has a conversation with his alliance on the beach that, hey, we're better off losing a Noonan or a Paulie at this tribal council, keeping Laura, Zara, Miles safe. Maybe that's something they do get on board with. But because he just does it himself, it's all about him. And that's where he falls apart for me. He doesn't communicate enough with the people he wants to work with to get them on board with what he wants to do. So he just kind of isolates himself. So I think if he had the conversation, maybe they'd have been on board with it.
Right. I can agree with that. Also right after the challenge, so after Ben actually hits the shot, then AJ obviously admits that he was throwing the challenge and Ben denies it. Which is very, very interesting. I mean, at that
It's
point,
so
just
funny.
kind of admit it.
I want to know there's another reason why this is a memorable challenge for me. I'm getting very incohesiveness throughout both these tribes. If there is one person on each tribe trying to throw it and everyone is going loco about it, I'm almost starting to get hopes that this merge might be a chaotic mess
Mhm.
almost. I'm
Okay.
starting to think that I'm getting the motion of like they're talking to each other during the challenges, cross tribal. People are just making their own decisions. And I almost feel like in past Survivor, when people are all making self-proclaimed moves and self-proclaimed like, um, you know, they're trying to talk to other people cross tribal. I almost get that motion where like merge is going to be nuts, and I'm starting to get that from this season. more because of all the injuries and pre-merge mess. I feel like it's all going to come together like a sticky glue and just go bleh.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
Hope so. I love a chaotic mess.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I'm
absolutely.
hoping for.
So then yeah, we get back to the Brawn camp. Noonan has the ankle injury, so she can't really move anywhere, unfortunately. So it's kind of a sad scene where she's just stuck in the shelter while everybody is going scrambling. Um, we do get a funny scene though. So the majority Brains Alliance is discussing whether to vote Polly out or Noonan in a split vote, and Polly goes up and Kaylin says, wait, like AJ points out where their split is going, and Kaylin's like, wait, aren't we putting the majority on Polly in front of Polly?
I think that was intentional, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
maybe.
I really
I was
think it was.
confused by that
Yeah.
because but it's AJ that messed it up. I thought it was Kalen correcting AJ
Yeah, I
because
did
yeah,
too. But
yeah, they were saying, you know, Paulie, and then Noonan, and it was like, hold on, you put too many on Paulie there. So it
yeah.
was like this weird thing where they're having this discussion while he stood right next to them. And I was like, this is bizarre. It was funny with AJ being like, it's weird to discuss this when you're right next to me.
Right, right. It was just very awkward. Like Kaylin says it was correcting AJ, but like just the fact, like it was an awkward moment.
Yeah.
And AJ, no, like we've seen in past episodes, AJ already believes one of those two has the idol, Noonan or Polly. So yeah, it's just a very funny exchange because then Kaylin's like we've just talked about, oh, it's Polly, right? And Polly's like, huh, you know what I mean? I
I prefer
almost,
it not to be me or something.
yeah, I prefer it. I prefer not. Yeah, I almost feel like that was a little intentional. Kaylin's trying to like stir it up a little bit. That's just what I was getting from it, at least.
Yeah. I don't know. My favorite moment of an awkward moment where someone, and this is actually like a complete accident. This reminds me of Philippines when Carter and Jeff Kent are saying whether to vote out Penner or Katie, and Carter accidentally says Penner in front of him, and then he's like, "Well, I'd prefer it. I'd sure like it not to be Katie or something like that."
Yeah.
Classic
Like people's
Penner.
brains go to mush when they're trying to organize these votes sometimes. Now, I did like Kalen during this episode as well. And this is, again, I do think I like this week because we did start to see some more of certain players like a Kristen or a Kalen, a Kate, we're going to get to later. But Kalen really made me laugh when he said, sadly, my golden retriever phase is ending as he starts to play the game. And that gave me hope for my other. I'm very focused on Laura, but Kalen is my other player still in the game in my draft. And I think he has been playing this kind of, just a good boy, kind of not thinking too much about the game, but there is more there to him. And now that he's starting to get more involved in the strategy side of things, maybe Kalen could be a good shot for me. I don't know, but if he stops injuring everyone, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll get there, but I do think he's getting a little more content here and there, whether it is like as much as like it's a really sad moment, it's also a really good moment for Kalen, as we'll get to later with what happens.
That's why I got a lot of hope for like I'm not shutting down most like PD maybe is the only one I have shut down at the moment, but everyone else I'm keeping
Yeah.
some kind of high hopes for because like this
Mhm.
game's so long, man. Like this
True.
Australian version, like when you're starting to get little glimmers of people throughout the first half, I still have some hope that they'll probably go long. Who knows if they win, but maybe, we'll actually see some excitement out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's been a winner that like didn't get much content in the first half, but like I don't think that's ever been the case. Like I know there's winners that
Maybe
have
like a Christie. I think
yeah,
Christie's probably the
Christy
best example of that.
yeah, Christy would be like the best example where I think she was there in like the first few episodes, but then she disappeared in the middle and then came back. Yeah, I can totally see that. Um, all right, so then we get to Tribal and Noonan calls out AJ, which is really funny. And basically we get to the vote. Paulie does play his idol, and AJ counts like out that did they just screw up the plan and realizes just to be safe he's going to play his idol, and ultimately Paulie cancels out 2 votes, AJ cancels out 1, and Paulie and Kristen's votes for Noonan send her home. So thoughts?
That's fun tribal.
Yeah, very fun
Like
tribal.
I did enjoy Idol Madness, and I don't blame AJ for playing his
Yeah,
idol in this
I
position.
don't
Like
either.
the 3 OG Brawns could have very easily just put their votes on AJ. I
Yeah.
think he knew Noonan was going to, so it was like you can't really risk that. I did like Noonan's description of AJ as the AJ is like fire, nice to look at, really warm, but you're going to get burnt. What a good line to go out on.
That is good. That is good. Austin?
Yeah, I did have thoughts on this one. At first I was like, wow, I actually rewatched this I was watching this episode with my dad. I rewatched the last half of this episode because when Noonan got the votes, I was almost confused in a way because I was like, that doesn't make sense if Polly knew he was probably going home. He had the idol. He played for himself, and then he just voted out his number one. So I rewatched the episode because I felt like I missed something.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing Polly approaching, I forget who it was. I think it might have been AJ or Kalen. And they basically proposed, like, hey, you have me and Kristen. He didn't say Noonan, he said Kristen for merge. And if you don't get rid of me. And I almost thought there, I was like, did he just propose that he's fine getting rid of Noonan? And I
Mhm.
don't know if it's because of the injury. I don't know if he knew that people didn't care for Noonan. Right there, I was like, okay, he actually just martyred his number one who said she would never vote for him, and he said he'd never vote for her, and then he just backstabbed her. So I was like, huh, wow, interesting. Like Polly is kind of a, backstabber in this season. So I was completely shocked because I messaged Noonan. We had a very short message back to back. I was like, I cannot believe you three didn't just throw your votes on like a Logan there or something. Like
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
very confused because they also knew AJ might have an idol.
Right.
Like Noonan literally said it like 4 fucking times in those past 2 episodes, and Polly suggested it. So
Mhm.
I was like, wow, this was a very like Polly just played this one safe. He wanted to build better connections moving forward. He didn't, and I almost think if Noonan didn't get hurt there, would that vote have been completely different? Like I
Yeah.
don't know if it had to do with the ankle. I don't know if it had to do with just the social game of hers, like declining Polly, but he definitely jumped onto Kristen and moved on. I don't know. It was very interesting for me.
Mhm.
Like I feel like Paulie it worked out well for Paulie this week just because of circumstances, but this could have almost guaranteed him without these twists and turns that he goes home. So I don't know why he didn't just take a stand with his idol. If that was me, I have an idol, I know I'm playing it tonight. Show Noonan, show Kristen the idol. Like they're voting for me. I'm playing this. We put our 3 votes on someone and they could actually get through that tribal council with numbers. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe they vote for AJ and AJ plays as idol, but at least you're having a shot.
Right.
I feel like it was just luck in terms of how things played out that got Paulie through this week, whereas he could have actually had more power within that tribe if he didn't just throw Noonan away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as Austin said, like I think he was just going for trying to connect with other people, and like cutting loose someone that he's worked with is showing that he's open. So I don't know. It's tough. We do get Noonan. Polly offers to help her get her torch to JLP, and she denies him and says, "Well, then you should have voted with me then."
I mean, I would have too. I would have been
Yeah,
really pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I would have been extremely bitter and pissed at Polly. Like if I'm working with you
Yeah.
all season and you just like Mike literally said it perfectly. Like he kind of just threw it away. Like he really shouldn't have done that move, in my opinion, because he almost probably would have went home before merge. Like that's what I kept thinking to myself. I'm like, why did he do that? He should have played it a little more risky with this one. Like, why throw away your no basically your number one? Even if you are being told the entire time, like it's between you and her, like come on, like numbers wise, you three in any circumstance of a split are gonna outnumber the four.
Mhm.
Like if you're doing 2-2, because they're not gonna do 3-1. I feel like that's dumb. but I don't know. Like, I don't know. That whole one just confused me. I almost hope at a reunion or something they explain why Polly did that because I would love to know, honestly, because I don't know. Well, I almost feel like her injury was bad, like, and that she told them, or I don't know. I really don't know.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is all hindsight as well, but like, so if they stick together here and get one of them out, then next episode's going to be a non-elimination. Zara's going to come over, and then the next episode, Ben's going to go home. We're coming out of this week with 7 brains and 6 brawn.
Yeah.
If they made that stand in this episode, then we're going into merge with 7 brawn and 6 brain. So
Yes.
it's like one of those things you can't see, episodes down the line, but this could be something that really does wreck Paulie's game by not backing in his allies there.
Yeah. Agreed. It very well could. All right. Well, yeah. So now and then AJ's alliance is just extremely upset that AJ didn't reveal his idol. So we're gonna head into episode 11 where that happens. Karen is very mad at AJ. Says that Paulie is a snake oil salesman, but that she kind of wants to buy what he's selling, and she doesn't trust AJ. So, any thoughts
Can
there?
we talk about that first? The
Yes.
the um the whole idol thing. Like, what do you
Yes.
guys think about that? Like in terms of Karen's anger towards the AJ. Like, I kind of feel
Yeah.
bad for him in that point because it is a hidden immunity idol. You don't
Right.
have to tell your allies. Like, what do you guys think about that?
So
I You
I
go,
think
Jake.
I think it establishes trust to like tell your allies about things. So I get that perspective, but also as AJ says, it's a hidden immunity idol, and there are people that have gotten in trouble because they tell their allies that they have an idol, and then the information gets out there and you're screwed. Like it goes both ways, and so I totally get AJ's perspective on the idol and keeping it secret, especially because of the fact that at one point in time he was on the bottom with the Girls Alliance kind of running things. So of course he's not going to tell them that he has had this idol. Like I feel like the trust was kind of already fractured from before, with the women at least. So
I basically agree with Jake. I mean, I don't see why AJ would have at any moment. I almost feel like they got to the swap, and the girl, you see episodes in the past where they literally don't want to work with AJ. I mean, they're almost back. This is almost a double-edged sword with AJ. Like they literally are being forced to work with him. It feels like, and then they like gaslight him up after like you
right.
should have told us. Like we don't trust you now. You already didn't trust him. Like why are you making this such a big deal? And he knows that too. He knows that because he didn't tell you. I mean, if he told them three, two of them probably flip and try to get rid of like someone else. I mean, there could have been so many different things that could have happened if he just said it, and they probably would have wanted to flush it here anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I can't say like I would have done this, I would have done that. I mean, I played one online thing ever in my life, and I told my allies the day I was going to do it, and it never wrecked my game.
Right.
So it almost also coordinates with like who you're working with. Like, are they going to be, do you think they're going to be cool with this information not being told to them? Which, I mean, in AJ's case, I almost feel like everyone he wants to play with is on the other tribe right now. So he's kind of in that spot where he's just riding or dying for himself and Kalen right now. Because Kalen wants him around long term, which also gives me a reason why I think Kalen goes long. Because I feel like AJ's gonna, if he doesn't go out, like I said earlier, right at the start of merge, I think he goes decently far. So I like AJ's move. I hate that he is getting gaslit after, but I love Karen, so I don't really put two and two together. But yeah,
Yeah, I understand both perspectives on it, but I feel like AJ was just in a bit of a lose-lose situation here, like you say. Like I I don't know. He's a complete sloppy mess. Like I enjoy watching AJ, but he's a mess. Um, but his target is already so big by his own doing. Like telling him that you have an idol, that's not going to gain trust. It's just not. They're just going to get rid of it. At that point, he becomes more urgent to get out than a Paulie. So I think it was one of the best things AJ could have done at keeping it quiet. Everything else was so sloppy. weirdly, the thing that he's getting the most heat about was the thing he played right.
Right. Right. Um, all right, so we do get to this very quick immunity challenge of they're holding the bin of water up with the poles and an endurance challenge, and shockingly, the Brains tribe just drops right away, and it's very clear that people again threw the challenge. And so yeah, Braun win. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on this challenge?
I mean, knowing afterwards that Ben had a, you know, injury
Well, that's
holding
true.
that up, I don't know if he literally pushed it. Like, I mean, the edit makes it seem like he just pushed it up and put all the water in one end and then made everyone struggle and then kind of just lifted it back down and then just went poop. So yeah, definitely looks like a throw, but like after knowing he was a little injured, I almost like don't know if it was or not. I mean PD probably never would have thrown that one.
Yeah.
I mean the girls, none of them would have. I don't even know if Jesse would have. It would have just all been Ben, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Eh, I didn't like that challenge just because of that, obviously, but
Right. Right. Michael?
I mean, it was a blink and you'll miss a challenge. Yeah, so it was over and it was done.
Right.
Yeah, there's not much to say about it. It's just another. I do think it was probably a throw.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, I think it was a throw, but we'll bring up Ben's injury later when we talk about his exit, but I mean that could have been a factor, but I definitely think it was a deliberate throw in this one.
yeah, I
Um
assume he used his other arm, uh, to hold that
right.
up because if he knew going into that, I mean, it's basically torn. He had a torn ligament for crying out loud. So if he was holding it up with a torn ligament, that's not good. Like he
Mhm.
probably used the other one, and who knows? I agree. It's probably a throw.
Mhm. We get back to the camp and we finally get Kate's intro package 11 episodes in to explain the Women's Alliance Girls Gone Wild. So, thoughts on this?
Who isn't excited for someone's intro package? I mean,
Yeah,
Kate finally had some purpose in the storyline, and I love to see it. So,
agreed,
um,
agreed.
I mean,
I
we
do think
seen her
it's
like the first episode, and that was really it.
Right, true, true.
Kate also has this information that you know, the female alliance has been a recurrent thing of this season. So I think it's a really smart move to be like, maybe we can rebuild this. It's kind of been fractured and pulled apart by tribes, but the women working together makes the most sense for all of them at this point.
Mhm.
And yeah, Girls Gone Wild reunite with the Coven. We get like the ultimate like Coven Gone Wild alliance maybe at Merge. That would be fun. Yeah, I really like this, and Kate really made me laugh when she said Jesse's an absolute goose because Jesse's suggesting this mega
Yeah,
alliance where it's like,
yeah,
hey, what if we're all just in an alliance?
yeah.
Great
It's,
plan, Jesse. What happens when you go to tribal?
it's
It's such
insane.
basic Survivor. It's like, oh well, if the eight of us just all stick together and forget everything else that's happened, we can go to final eight. That's how Survivor works, right?
That doesn't surprise me that Jesse would pick the most basic Survivor strategy. He seems like the most basic Survivor player. So,
He
um,
does seem pretty basic. I don't dislike him. I think he's quite funny at times, but yeah, he's kind of it doesn't seem like he has more than that. And he's apparently donkeys famously sus. He says Laura is as sus as a donkey on us. Like, is that a thing that is known about donkeys? That they're very suspicious animals? I've never heard that.
I've never heard it either. So, but yeah, the Mega Alliance, Jesse wants to split the vote to take out Laura or Miles. Morgan and Kate talk about Blindside and Jesse with the girls gone wild. And Miles is trying to make the boys the hunks with the Z.
The hunks.
I I mean to be fair, was what was it? Ben or Jesse's tattoo has the hunks on it. I'm trying to remember
Jesse,
who.
yeah.
Yeah, Jesse. Yeah.
Love that he's trying to just relate. He's just like,
Yeah.
I'm this little guy. These are two big bros. All right, we're hunks. Let's do it.
Yeah. So that was funny. So now our big storyline that we're going to talk about here that goes into the tribal. So Laura finds an advantage. It turns out it's telling her about the non-elimination, where the person voted out will get sent to the Brawn tribe. And so she knows about it. She tells Zara because she thinks she can trust Zara. And Zara instead wants to strong arm Laura and blow up everything. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this before we get to the actual tribal itself?
I mean, Laura, I love Laura. She's my favorite player of the season so far. Um, this was just done disastrously. I understand her frustration with Zara, but like this started because she played it badly. She knows that there is a plan to get Jesse out. So it's like a free pass. The best thing Laura does here is nothing. She just lets the vote play out. If the plan works, Jesse goes to the other tribe. The girls and the rest of the Brawns are exposed as having flipped, which strengthens her position. If it doesn't work and they were being lied to, then Laura goes over to the other tribe and she's fine.
Yeah.
Like this was an unnecessary blow up where she should have just used it as a information finding exercise, where both scenarios were pretty good for her.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. I mean, it's tough because I get like wanting to trust someone that you've been working with in this game and feeling completely betrayed. But I do agree with you, Michael, like with what you're saying, because she should have just gone with the flow on this one. So,
Yeah,
awesome.
I
Big
can't
fear of
believe.
tribal council is that you're going to go home and she knows she's not. So
Right.
like,
Right, exactly,
why
exactly.
why blow up? It's fine.
True.
I can't believe she didn't just say nothing. I mean, she really just wanted to tell somebody, I almost feel like. And you unfortunately told the absolute wrong person.
Yeah.
Because if I was Zara, I would have done exactly what Zara did. Hey, I want to go. I'm gonna blow this. I'm gonna blow this one up, and I'm trying to get the hell off this tribe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it did work for her. So I think Zara did make a decision. Well, it blew up trust with Laura. It
Now, the
that's
only thing I wouldn't have done with Zara is I almost feel like Zara kind of messed up like connections doing
well,
this
yeah.
because I almost feel like she could be the first boot also now because of this. She almost played too many like she almost the execution of the first half was good. She's up 14-0. She's beating the Panthers in the Super Bowl. And now she showed her playbook and was like, "All right, here you go." And then everyone's like, "Oh, she's literally going over there because she wants to realign with AJ and blah blah blah." And
Mhm.
then she's probably gonna blow the second half now because of that. So I don't know. We'll see if it works out for her, but she I, I was I was confused why at the second half, like Morgan and all them were like, "Hey, we do realize she she literally is trying to jump."
Right.
Shit. Yeah.
True. True. All right. Well, we're gonna get to tribal. So Zara does blow up Laura. Both pitch to be sent to Braun, and Kate and Morgan want to send Laura. The guys want to send Zara, and the girls, in an effort to not vote for each other, they both vote for Miles. And in a 4-2 to 2 vote, Zara is sent over because of the guys. And so, yeah.
Shouldn't that have been the plan anyway? So I, plan A, do nothing. Even if you do tell Zara, like let's explain it like, oh, we're just going to see if this vote goes the way we think it does. Worst case scenario, one of us goes over there. Now that Laura has told everyone about this advantage, wouldn't it be better for the Girls Gone Wild Alliance, to send Miles?
Yeah.
Get Miles
Exactly.
over there, then Miles can go over and have connections with them. They're working with Miles. They don't trust him completely, but he's an option for them. And then on their original tribe, now the four girls hold the entire power of the tribe. It's like I feel like at every step throughout this, they did something that's gonna negatively affect their games. There was so many other options. I was so confused.
I
Yeah.
agree. I almost feel like those two don't trust Miles and the other two brains yet enough to. That's just what I'm. That's the only reason I can think because they really should have voted Miles, and that's what I thought was might have gonna happen, but yeah, it just didn't.
No, they gave the guys the complete power over this vote, and yeah, it was just a complete misplay.
Which wasn't that the reason Kate wanted to do the alliance, you know what I mean? She wants to get rid of the guys.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So, all right, well, a spicy tribal. I mean, the twist itself for me kind of felt just a little bit flat. I mean, we know non-eliminations are going to be a thing. I think the only thing that didn't fall flat is obviously the drama that surrounded it and the decisions that were made. But like the twist itself, I didn't necessarily like. So, but
I appreciate when twists at least bring in some drama. Like if anything, they kind of sent the best person over to stir up the other tribe in a way. I mean, we'll get into what happens when Sarah shows up, but I don't know. I liked her going over there over a few of the options. I probably would have preferred Miles for entertainment wise, but at least Zara went over there. And I mean, she connects, and yeah.
true, very true. All
I
right.
think the non-eliminations this season are like, I'll always prefer. I think non-eliminations being sending someone to the other tribe is always fun because at least you get changes of dynamic. So I'll take that over these weird, prolonged things like an exile or
Oh yeah.
that we have urns that are going to be smashed for
Oh my
15
God.
episodes before someone goes home. Like, at least it's, I feel like they're drip feeding the non-limbs in a way that doesn't mess up the flow of the season too much. But
Yeah,
then this one came at a bad time because of what happens in the next episode.
right, right, exactly. So I think that's part of it. But like, yeah, I agree with that. It's not as bad as what we've gotten from like Blood versus Water or All Stars, where you get these, or the original Brains versus Brawn, where you get these
Yeah.
twists that are just terrible. Wasn't to that level, luckily. But all right, episode 12. Let's close out this week. So Zara arrives at the Brawn tribe and we get her connecting with AJ. You get the funny scene of AJ pulling Karin and Zara aside, and then Karin walks away pissed, and Zara gets debriefed about everything that has happened by AJ. So that was
His
interesting.
perspective of it, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Laura's venting about Zara on the Brains tribe being pissed at what happened, which understandable as well. And then the other news before we get to the reward challenge is that Miles finds another idol.
I mean, I like this part,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, all of this was good. Made me at least entertained this week with this portion. I see the thing with AJ, this just keeps the reason why I just keep thinking he might stick around is there's people that actually do want him around, and then there's people that don't want him around. I don't know. I get why he's edited so much because he is literally the staple right now
Mhm.
of a lot of people's minds. I mean, it's like that you're trying to get the staple out of the damn paper and you just keep hurting your finger and you're just like, ah, motherfucker, get out. Like, so I don't know. Like Zara coming over there and just feeding him and he's just feeding her. Like, you almost get that like intuition, like, damn, this dude just keeps plugging along somehow. And then Miles, I love that Miles found an idol because he's so like he's just been screwed so much this season. He's just getting little power here and there. Uh, I'm excited to see how he kind of flirts with the idol and all the good shit he's been trying to stir up.
For
Like
sure.
a double idol episode for Miles almost. You know, he doesn't have the second yet, but he's got access to one. But
Yes.
I did. Miles also became the Ryan Neo Wayne of the season, where he mentions that he has 16 votes against his name so far. So immediately I thought of our own jungle rat, Ryan.
Yes. Yeah. We should definitely message Neo and call him a jungle rat after this. All right. We get to the reward challenge, and this is obviously a big one. The Rain Wrestle challenge. We do get Laura versus Zara for the winning point, but right before that, we get PD versus Kalen, and PD tears his bicep. Which I mean, you can hear the snap on the show. I don't know if that was added after the fact, but it doesn't sound good. And like, I immediately thought PD is getting evacuated. But I guess what did you guys think of this of what happened here?
Oh man, this is almost like a death sentence for PD, and I hate it for him because I've
Mhm.
been rooting for his very purpled ass edit up this season. I like him because he's a football coach, and I just give him that sincerity. Like I'm gonna root for you regardless if I have no idea what you're doing on this season.
Mhm.
Uh, like being in a sling is gonna just either he's gonna get goaded at this point, or he's gonna go home very quick at merge because that pain's probably gonna get to him at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it could, I mean, it's not gonna heal correctly, but it could get to the point where he doesn't need the sling and he can kind of, you know, do things at camp more. He probably won't do challenges throughout this season, certain ones now, but he, it's almost like a cancer to him for his game. I feel like, I mean, the social part, I don't like just edit wise from our POV. I just don't know what he's been doing socially, and it's probably not good if it's not in the edits. But yeah, I don't see how he does well now because of this. I almost feel like it's a hindrance to his game.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael.
I'm kind of the opposite way. I think, like, I don't think he's going to win, but injuries are never good. But in terms of when to get something like this, he could spin this into a positive way. We're reaching the end of the point where the physical game is an asset to you. The physical game becomes a hindrance to you if you're perceived as someone that's going to be greater challenges and going to get their way through. So coming in like, hey, I'm not doing the challenges. I ain't going to win individual immunity.
Right.
Maybe he can do something to spin that into his advantage. If this happened earlier, like when, especially in Survivor Australia, when the challenges are so kind of hard hitting and pivotal, and people do get taken out for those kinds of reasons, I think he would have been screwed. But if as long as the injury doesn't get worse and as long as he's okay pain wise and he can get through, maybe he can find a position for himself here. Um, the whole injury scene itself was just like heartbreaking. I had like tears in my eyes. It was really sad, and also like Kalen being so upset about
Yes. Yeah.
having hurt him, and there's that lovely moment where he comes back in the sling and he kind of comforts Kalen as well and being like it's all good, and they
The
have the
head
little
bump.
head to head
Yeah.
moment. It's really sad, but it was also really sweet between them, and yeah, it just sucks to see someone get hurt. But then we're gonna get the bait and switch, and because as soon as you see this episode, I always look at like the time of the episode. It
Yes.
was like,
Yeah.
are we gonna get an immunity? Sorry, a tribal here. We're cutting it fine. I was like, oh, PD's gonna leave. And I was like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, if I hadn't been spoiled beforehand this week, then I definitely would have thought like PD would have been announced to be going home, and then we'll get to it with Ben, but that was just a huge shock seeing that online, and that's what happened. So um, all right. So the brains do win the spaghetti shack. So we get to the spaghetti bowl. Obviously, with this type of challenge, there's going to be a clue probably underneath all the food. So we do get people eating their fill. You get Jesse disgustingly eating meatballs, which that was very gross. And Kate unfortunately doesn't get any meatballs because of Jesse. So, um, but Miles does find the clue underneath all the spaghetti. Thinks it says check the shelf instead of check the shelter. Not gonna matter because he finds it anyway. But what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I don't know. It kind of just phased through my mind this part. Like, I don't think anyone really took anything out of it. Just enjoyed food and stuffed their stuffed their faces. I mean, I feel like nobody was like looking for it except Miles.
Yeah.
And he did end up finding it in the, obvious spot of in the huge bowl of spaghetti and still didn't even read it correctly. So I don't know. It's just kind of a blur. Good for them for getting some food in their guts.
Hmm. Michael.
I always like these like one by one into some reward where everyone causes a mess. It's so gross. It is so gross. Like the scene where Miles is like digging out the bowl and just with his bare hands, and the meatballs were huge as well, eating
Yeah.
these things. And then I did laugh out loud when he when he misread shelter as shelf. And in his defense, he's been out there starving for a long time. His brain's not functioning right, but he does put it together. But in Kate, how did Kate not? She was searching for meatballs and she just didn't see the thing at the bottom of the plate. She was digging through. Yeah, I do think it's fun. It's not up there with like David emptying the popcorn and eating it on his all fours and the other types of these challenges
Benji with the
rewards that we've
nachos.
seen. But yeah, still fun. The nachos, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean this does come into play. Miles does find the knowledge is power in the shelter. So I was not sure if any new era advantages would actually make their way into Australian Survivor. I'm not a fan of the knowledge is power, so I was kind of disappointed to honestly see that it made its way over to Australian Survivor, but it is what it is.
Has it ever been used successfully?
I don't I don't think so because what Xander used it in 41 or Xander got it used on him and then he faked out Liana in that season. But I don't think anybody else actually used it correctly that had it. So that's an
I think that's
interesting.
why I'm at least like I kind of agree with you. I don't really like this advantage as much as others, but I mean, I'm kind of just speculating at how this is going to go because I mean, I feel like everyone who's had this advantage in the past, and it's only been a very few,
Mhm.
but they've been just martyred almost and sent out the door just because of
Right.
it. So him keeping this a secret is, I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun because you're gonna find out. Like he knows Kristen has it, or at least he thinks it. He has no idea if she's used it yet, but once
True.
he finds that out, I mean, he might, try to snake it. I don't know.
I actually think that that's what might happen because that's why like they're obviously going to show Kristen has this idol. I mean, obviously they're going to show it anyway because of the nature of that challenge, but like I can definitely see that being what he uses this for.
Like, what if Kristen tries to use it at the first merge to save like an ally, and then he goes psych? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be really funny if he uses it interestingly.
Yeah, I'm not super caught up on the new era, so I haven't seen it in use much. So I was wanted to clarify the rules of it. So could Miles use this? He says it has to be played when Johnson comes back and says, I'll read the vote. So can he just wait and see if someone stands up and then go, I'll have that?
I
Like,
think
does it have to?
I think he has to do it before JLP reads the votes. So like when someone
It would be.
yeah, I guess before someone plays it, he would have to be like, "Hey, do you have an idol?" Like that's how it would go.
Yeah. It's a gray area, but for me, I'd be like, hey, the rules aren't clear here. I'm waiting for someone to stand up. I'm going to wait for someone to stand up, and then I'm going to yank it out of their hands and be like, "This is mine now. I'll be taking that. Thank you."
True, true.
Did they? I'm trying to remember because I can't freaking remember. Did in the 41, did they do it before they even voted? I don't
I
know.
I I can't remember because I haven't rewatched 41, but I think it was before the votes were read and
Yeah.
Leona tried to take it from Xander. So like I think that's how it went at least. I'd have to rewatch 41 on my 1 through 50 rewatch to remember what happened, honestly. So all right, so then we do also get that Logan finds the idol on the other tribe and says that she's going to use it against AJ. So
I got clarification if you want to know. I was looking it
yeah,
up.
go
It
for it,
is
go for it.
you have to do it before the votes are cast at Tribal
Oh,
Council.
before they're cast. Okay. Hmm.
Sure, but is it different in Australian Survivor? Because in this season, it
That's
definitely
true.
said.
Well,
So
yeah.
I think they've given them more leeway with it, which could be more interesting.
Well, an Australian Survivor did things differently originally with like idols. You could hand them off to people, and then people are like,
Yeah.
no, it has to be changed. And so they did change it. But that was like the original Brains versus Brawn because Kaz gave it to Flick in that season when she shouldn't have been able to.
And this was never used correctly ever in history, also. So
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, Miles. You're the one.
Let's see. All right. So, PD can continue. So that gets announced. The immunity challenges, the balancing blocks on the discs. This is the one. This is the Simon Me challenge, where the Brains threw the challenge to get rid of Simon in, or the Bronze in the original Brains versus Brawn. So I mean, this is a good challenge. It's like one that does require like teamwork, and so I like this challenge for that.
Also, Survivor UK. Shout out to my Survivor UK
Yes.
people. This was a fun challenge on that season with Peg Leg overcoming the odds to actually pull out the immunity win there. So I liked seeing this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is probably one of my favorites, honestly. Like if I ever got on Survivor, I would want to play this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to try to figure it out as a team and work through it. So, um, all right. So yeah, the Brains do win the challenge. But I mean, we're gonna get a scramble. I mean, it seems like it's basically between Polly and AJ, but none of that is going to matter. We're going to get to tribal, and within a few minutes, there's a few minutes left in the episode. We know something's happening, but we get to tribal, and it's announced that Ben has chosen to leave the game. Um, so an Instagram video, Ben did release an Instagram video where he said that the show didn't show it, but he had a calf injury from early in the game, the challenge where Miles had the golden foot. So and he kind of braved through it. He got swapped and he had trouble like sleeping in the shelter, the pig pen, and kind of had some heart problems. He retweaked his calf muscle in this episode's reward challenge. And then with the heart problems, he chose to leave, and turns out he had pneumonia and he had contracted like some other virus, I think, before the game even started. So yeah, very, very scary. And like, I know there's other rumors that have gone around, but I'm gonna believe obviously what Ben posts to his Instagram and like as to what happened. It's just strange that the show chose not to show us any of this or show us any Ben leading up to this moment. So, what did you guys think?
I mean, I'm gonna assume there's gonna be clarification after this
Yeah,
season ends on what happened with other sources, not just Ben. I don't know. I'm just gonna believe what Ben had to say for now because that sucks, man. That is like he I don't think if he had pneumonia and all that, he'd probably still be here, honestly, because if he went those days like in a swap without, leaving because of the injury, like if it was purely the pneumonia, that just shows you the elements these guys go through. I mean,
right,
that's tough, man. Like if you're just out there dying and every day just getting worse and worse, and you're just like, dude, I can't do this anymore. Something's wrong with me. And then med team's like, dude, you got to get the hell to a hospital like pronto. Like that sucks for him. I kind of wanted to see his demise. So I didn't like that he had to, pull himself out there. It sucked. I was very interested to see what was going to happen at that tribal, and I was very interested to see, I'll say it later, the other part, I guess, but yeah, I was just it sucked to see Ben have to pull himself out if that's the case, like if that's the reason.
yeah, yeah, Michael.
Yeah, this is just really odd. Really odd. You can see the faces of Johnson starts talking, like every single person there is expecting to hear PD's name at the end of that sentence, and then he says Ben has quit the game, and they're all just like, "Wait, Ben? Like what?"
Mhm.
It's but and yeah, in terms of the edit, this it's just so bizarre. Like we don't know anything. We have an Instagram post. We don't know anything else about the season, so it's like we're just talking about what we've seen, and this has never been how exits on Survivor dealt with. Like we see people get medevaced all the time, um, and for it to just be like he's not even in the episode and like oh Ben's gone. It's like well, what are we as viewers meant to take from that? I don't know.
Right.
It's like give us something of him back at camp if he's injured and have that medevac take place. I don't know. It was very odd. Like the only time I can think of something like that happening was with the guy in I can't remember the season where he gets hurt on the boat between challenge and camp, and he's like,
Pat
we
and David
don't
versus
see it.
Goliath.
Yeah, it's like where we like missed something, but it just seemed odd that it wasn't something that was shown because they tend to do that usually.
Yeah, it's just very odd. I don't like, so they also before the season, like some podcasts haven't been allowed to do exit interviews, or most podcasts haven't been allowed to do that. So that was odd. And then obviously this edit, I don't know, it just at first it just felt like they were trying to keep something hush hush, and I just don't know what this means, because it's just weird. I feel like any other medevac and Australian survivor at least has had some reasoning, or some things have been shown. I mean, the only other one I feel like that was kind of silent was Chelsea in the original Brains versus Brawn, that got like nothing, and then she got like taken out at the merge. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yep.
so
I can remember that one.
yeah, but like every other one, quit or medevac, has at least been shown from my memory. Obviously, like Ross and Champions versus Contenders 2, or um I'm trying to think of the other ones.
Even this season, like even they've even shown it this season how they deal with
Oh,
medevacs
and
with
Zen.
Zen.
Yeah.
Like so the fact that there was two medevacs in this season and one was given to us as part of the story and one was completely not.
Yeah.
Like it's just odd. I don't know.
Yeah, and
But
Zen was given a
also
great
it's
edit.
just annoying because it would have been a really interesting tribal council. It was like I was so geared up to this AJ Paulie blow up. It would have been fun. And yeah, like you said, we kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit, but Logan finding an idol also changes like so much of that because the big part finding an idol isn't just about having the idol, it's about knowing other people don't have the idol. So it's there's also a comfort there for Logan that hey, I have this idol. It's very likely AJ doesn't have an idol, so that secures her and maybe going for AJ more. So
Right,
I
right.
think it was a really fun build up to the tribal council, and then instead of a big explosive finale, we now go into the merge with blue balls.
Yeah, personally, these type of like instances kind of hurt seasons in my
Mhm.
personal opinion. Like I like it when a season's flowed through, no injuries, blah blah blah. But this is just an unfortunate season of, injuries and chaotic messes of like sicknesses and stuff. So, I mean, I really did want that tribal. I really wanted to see what was going to happen because
Right,
now everyone's going to the merge from that tribal and they're just like what would have freaking happened if Ben just made it to merge? You know what I mean?
right, right. Well, yeah, I mean, anything else before we get to our check-in and our predictions?
I can't think of
Just
anything.
I'm looking forward to merge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So merge is coming. Our week 4 check-in. So Austin is now in the lead with 6 players. Lost Noonan this week. I am in second with 5. I lost Ben. And Michael, you are still at 2. You didn't lose anybody this week.
First time. First time. And I'm gonna it was good luck last week. I'm gonna do it again this week. No eliminations for Team Michael next week either. It's happening.
I probably agree with that.
Yeah, I would too. Like I see Austin and I losing more people, and then I see us being pretty even going into the last couple of weeks, to be honest. So
I just want to still be in the game.
I know. All right. And so predictions going into this merge, what do you guys think is going to happen?
I really like this merge because I almost don't have like a concrete prediction. I have like I've been trying to think just for this question what I was gonna say, and I still am at the point where I'm like between like 4 different possible paths that I like think could happen. Like I truly think one path is that Zara unfortunately is gonna get sniped, and then the girls could completely take this game. I also think this could be a slaughter of a bronze possibly and Polly flips to save his ass again.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a world where AJ and Logan could go at it and then like one of them gets cut. I mean, there could even be a world where like again, I think I foreshadowed a little bit, but Kristen plays an idol for like a Polly and then Miles kind of jumps out and snakes it before they go to vote. And then it's just a fucking train wreck. I
Mhm.
mean, there's so many things that could happen in this next week that it's really exciting me to see this episode. Like I want to see this episode on Sunday.
Yep.
Because there could be blowout characters that we haven't been hearing from. There could be blowout characters that we've been hearing from that are gonna go into a chaotic spiral. Um, I mean, who knows? If I could give you one, I guess, thing that I really think could happen is that I could see like Jesse and like PD kind of just getting L's basically. Um, I don't know. That's probably the only concrete path because, like I said last week, in my personal opinion, all Miles need to do is just make the merge, and I think he's kind of gonna, get himself in somewhere. And I really think it's gonna be AJ. Funny enough that he gets it in with, and I mean they could ride off into the sunset for a week. I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. This is gonna be really fun. I'm excited.
Michael, your predictions?
I think this season's been like all about the girls. I think the Girls Gone Wild thing will come back together. Especially now that the Brains are going in with a majority over the Brawn. I think, Kate and Morgan have already said they're not wanting to work with Jesse long term. I could see them teaming up with the rest of the girls and forming a group within the main merge tribe to take out someone like a Jesse first, with the knowledge that, they've got to get AJ at some point. There's going to be people on the periphery that they can pick off. So they kind of play under the radar, taking out those kinds of players. So then the time will come when they have a natural majority. I could really see Morgan and Kate now going really far with Laura and Karen and Zara, and then that's going to be obviously dependent on how Laura and Zara can have those conversations and put things back on the right track, because it's in both their best interest too. I think they need to reconnect and have a heart to heart. So I could see that happening, and I do think these lesser Brawns that we haven't seen edited do probably take the early merge spots, and then it becomes more chaotic from there. I could see this first couple being quite predictable, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking PD could actually get either medevac or he's just an early merge boot because he isn't connected. I think I'm gonna say Jesse is the merge boot though. If barring a PD medevac, I think that the Girls Gone Wild is going to take effect, and I think they're gonna hit their target. Um, Other than that, I mean, AJ and Logan, I think that storyline is either going to get resolved this week or the next week. I think one of them is going to get taken out there, and then, yeah, I mean, it should be interesting to see what happens. I guess I'm curious how the rest of the boot order is going to go. So,
Yeah, like this is a season where I could actually see a girls group making it far.
mhm,
And this isn't like
Yeah,
one of
for sure.
those seasons where it's split up guys, girls at the start either. So that even would be even more interesting. Like we finally see a girls alliance that wasn't forced almost.
right,
Like it
right.
was literally because they keep bringing it up all season.
Mhm.
It's not my number one prediction, but I definitely like a Jesse like I really think they need to get rid of Zara to make that girls thing work because Zara is in with certain guys like an AJ. So like if the girls was to work, they do need to get rid of Zara, and I think it would be this week. Like if Zara goes this week, I could see the girls way more being like together than anything. I think Kristen kind of needs to go too. I don't know if Kristen's kind of with the girls like club yet. Um, but if they pull her in during this week, then I see it even more likely happening. But you almost need to get rid of Polly for that to work too. So there's like little like snips the girls have to do to kind of make that a thing. They either got to get rid of Zara so they can snip the AJ in that comparison. They either got to get rid of Polly or to get rid of that connection, or just get rid of Kristen with a idle swipe of Miles. So I mean, who knows? Like this is gonna be a really fun week, I think. It could either be predictable, like you said, or it could be chaotic, freaking mess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it could go either way. So, I mean, this season has, like I said, has been mid for me, but it could get better. So, I mean, we'll just have to see. Yeah. So, I mean, that's it for week 4. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week for that. We got some more US Survivor recaps coming up. We've got more Lost content as season 1 gets wrapped up, as you guys will be watching. Yeah, I mean, lots of other stuff coming up, stuff wrapping up. So with that, we will see you guys next time on the Tribe of Nerds.